I've never done an anime video before that wasn't playing an anime game. If you watch my Twitch, you'll know I do Sunday night anime streams, where I talk about animes I've watched or mangas I've read recently, and we try out the newest anime game releases on Steam. But now that I'm trying to do more of these kind of ranting videos, let's try one where I talk about anime instead of games and see how it goes. So if you absolutely hate anime, just go watch Ninja play Fortnite or some shit. I want to talk to you about an anime you likely haven't heard of that came out towards the end of 2017, and that I consider to be my favorite anime of all time. It's called Inuyashiki. No, not Inuyasha. Stop shouting at your monitor that you finally have proof I'm a furry. That's not what I fucking said. I'm talking about Inuyashiki. Last Hero, the amazing sci-fi story you haven't heard of. It's the story of an elderly man named Inuyashiki whose family doesn't value him and he feels all alone and useless. After he's killed by a freak accident from visiting aliens, his body is replaced with a robotic war machine. The old man who once felt useless now has new abilities with his robot body and starts saving people so he can have purpose. Meanwhile, in that same park, there was also a teenager named Hiro who was also killed and then reborn in an alien robot body as well. Only Hiro is a socially disconnected guy who grew up feeling outcast and dealing with the divorce of his parents. So when this troubled, disconnected teen is given the same powers, he uses his powers for evil and to kill people at random. Both their powers can range from fixing injuries and curing diseases with the palm of their hands to making a finger gun and being able to actually kill people without real bullets. It's a show about duality and how when these characters with different paths are given the same spectacular opportunities and abilities, they end up choosing very different paths. Yet in reality, both have only chosen their paths as a mean to feel human again. This is the point where I say there's going to be some slight spoilers for the show in this video. And while they don't spoil the ending of the show or any huge plot twists, they may spoil some cool scenes you might want to experience without knowing it's coming. So if you want to continue this video without these spoilers, skip ahead to the timestamp I'm listing on the video and in the description. It's really interesting in the ways that it shows us the two sides of the story. For example, the entire first episode is entirely about Inuyashiki, whereas the second episode is centered around Hiro. Then after that, we get constant episodes that merge their separate stories yet also parallel each other. In the same episode where Inuyashiki saves a family from a burning building after hearing them cry out for help, Hiro kills an entire family just because he kept hearing their dog bark. And these parallels are a constant reoccurrence among the series. After the initial 2 episodes, there were only 2 episodes where they have entirely separate side stories that progress their characters. When watching the series for the first time, you might not notice, but these side stories actually parallel each other as well. And a part of why it's hard to notice is that they happen 3 episodes apart. In one side story, Inuyashiki permanently blinds, cripples, and paralyzes the leaders of the Japanese Yakuza. In the other side story, Hiro has been moved by his girlfriend to use his powers to save lives instead of taking them. That means in these episodes, Inuyashiki is now harming people while Hiro is now helping people. And while there's reasons to these actions, it turns out that the reasons also mirror each other. Inuyashiki is now harming the Yakuza to permanently punish them for what they've done, whereas Hiro is healing people from Twitter and alleys to try to be forgiven for the lives he's taken. Not only that, but in the next episode, Hiro physically mirrors Inuyashiki by killing an entire Japanese police headquarters. Punishment and forgiveness, cops and robbers, young and old, good and evil. I mean, they literally call the villain of the show Hiro, and that's not by coincidence. This show mirrors itself so much and even mirrors the tropes of the teen hero and the old man antagonist. It's a show all about duality and how circumstances can affect decisions drastically, and both the subtle and obvious ways it goes about portraying this are very intricate. Unfortunately, I guess this show mirrors itself so much that even though it's done really well, it was not popular. Though there was one meme about the show that did circulate around for a while. It's a clip where Hiro asks a frightened crying woman if she likes manga and starts talking about One Piece. She then says, in tears, "Are my father and brother dead too?" But Hiro just says they're talking about One Piece now. If you've seen that clip before, this is where the clip is from. But other than that, a lot of people still hadn't heard of the show. I don't believe this is the fault of the show itself, given its terrific writing and character development. This had to do with Amazon. Amazon had snatched up the licensing to stream the show. And if you guys didn't know, Amazon can be where most new animes pretty much go to die. Sure, there are still sites like Kiss Anime that people can visit to watch a show without an Amazon Prime subscription, but unless a new anime is on Crunchyroll, Funimation, or Netflix, then most don't even know the show exists to watch it on Kiss Anime. And that's not even including the fact that, at the time of Inuyashiki's airing, Amazon still had their awful anime strike membership service. This was probably probably the biggest reason you haven't heard of the anime until now. Even if you were already an Amazon Prime member, you had to pay an extra $5 if you wanted to watch their exclusive animes through Amazon Video. This means even Amazon Prime members didn't have immediate access to the show. And it was only after Inuyashiki finished airing that Amazon closed Anime Strike and just included it in Amazon Prime. Which means now in the future, Amazon might be a better place for new airing animes to grow in popularity. But Inuyashiki didn't quite make it in time for that. Now, some of you might have also heard of a show called Made in Abyss, which was also an Anime Strike exclusive show. It aired the season before Inuyashiki and did incredibly well, going on to win Anime of the Year at Crunchyroll's 2017 Anime Awards. So you might be asking me, how come that show did really well despite being an Anime Strike? Well, Made in Abyss is based on a manga that was very popular. It's literally ranked number 12 on my anime list. So it should come as absolutely no surprise that a show based on a highly popular manga is also incredibly popular. Both Made in Abyss and Inuyashiki are great animes, but Inuyashiki's manga didn't sell at all in Japan. Its sales were so poor that the author Hiroya Oku, who also wrote Gantz, had to end the story early. The final arc of the manga and the final episode of the anime very clearly reflect this. And while the ending is still a satisfying one that wraps up the story in a nice little bow, it leaves no room for a continuation ever, and is a bit sudden. Though beautifully drawn and written, the manga didn't sell well in Japan, and as a result, it comes out in the West with no one knowing about it, and then it's shoved into Amazon's Anime Strike service. So although it's a fantastic superhero story about duality and what it means to be human, it had the bad luck of being swept under the rug by circumstances. Miraculously though, Japan tried again at the franchise. This year they tried to retell the story in a live-action movie, but it was only released in Japan and made slightly below average for Japanese box offices this year. Though after having to wait an entire year for it to come out on DVD, I was finally able to watch the movie. And it was probably one of the best live adaptations of anime I've ever seen and there ever will be. It not only portrays both characters really well, it also develops them even further than the anime and manga. And it both changes the ending and massively improves it, while also leaving it open for a continuation in the future. Sadly though, Japan seems to hate the franchise and didn't care too much for the movie. Except for the elderly people over there. They loved the story of an old man being the superhero for a change. But still, we aren't likely to ever get a continuation to any part of the franchise now. The last hope we could possibly have is that the anime or live action movie is licensed to Netflix, and then it'll have a resurgence of popularity. And I know it would blow up if it were moved to Netflix, because this is very much a story that would resonate well here in the West. We're literally the place to go for superhero movies and shows, and we love the shit out of My Hero Academia. I know Inuyashiki isn't a comic book superhero, or trying to portray one, but it's a story that works incredibly well at developing both the hero and the villain and their duality. And that's what we love more than anything over here. Sure, we root for superheroes to save the day, but honestly, a lot of us are rooting for the villains too. Mostly because they have badass designs and abilities, but also because we see the reason why they have their twisted views. And sometimes those reasons they have are things that relate to us, so we end up hoping the villain wins. In Inuyashiki, Hiro is an outcast, socially disconnected, and disturbed teen whose parents divorced when he was young. And then he starts facing constant existential dread as to whether or not he's human anymore, to the point where he lashes out and hurts people. If you think that wouldn't resonate with most teenagers over here, you need to stop lying to yourself. And the characters' parallels mean that you'll see how similar they are to each other despite being exact opposites. It's exactly the reason Batman and the Joker work so well as hero and villain. One wants justice, one wants chaos, but both are in actuality obsessive and insane. And that's why Inuyashiki, the anime you haven't heard of until now, is actually one of the best animes of all time that didn't get as much recognition as it deserved. And in case you didn't get the point by now, you should really go give the anime, manga, or live action movie a try. It's well worth it, and I'd love to talk to you about it more. So that's all for now. But before you go, I've decided to revamp and start promoting my Patreon page more. Supporting me on Patreon helps to give you guys more videos, fund my future game development ventures, manga orders, and mozzarella stick obsession. So if you love me like I know you do, and you want me to keep doing my thing, pledge to me on there and I'll love you forever. Follow me on Twitter, follow me on Twitch, follow me in life, and I'll talk to you all later.
Since I was a young man,